the idea for this came from, I've had this idea for a while, but the whole idea from Lonesome Lands kind of, I've had the idea for Lonesome Lands for years, but after the 2016 election, Chuck Todd, you know who that is?
Yeah.
He's a goofy reporter and has
Goofy.
lived in the media world forever. And I remember him saying, because they missed that election so bad and they were all kind of shell
Right.
shocked, and they were like, well, maybe we should put a NBC news studio out in, I think, Wisconsin or somewhere in some
Right.
like
In
rural
rural. Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
And I thought you could put as many of them in as many rural communities as you can find, and you're still just not going to get it unless you actually talk to like rural people.
Yeah.
Like, unless you, because you just, and especially after I went to journalism school for a little bit, and those people have been like engrossed in it for years and years and years. So now it's like, there's no way they just don't understand kind of what people's mindset who are in rural America, I guess. And so that's
No,
kind
they
of
have
where
no idea. That
yeah,
goes back to my saying all the time that, you know, you're 3 generations removed from the farm. You have no idea about any of this. I feel like I need to get the line in the middle. Is that better?
you're way too worried about them windows.
I am like is that better?
It's fine. You look great. Like you said when you first sat down, you look great. You're too worried about it. So yeah,
Oh,
and so that's where I thought, oh, we just put this together, see if we talk about, just the topics of the day, I guess. And
yeah.
how I came up with this is just kind of,
Yep.
I just go on Twitter every once in a while. And it seems like what the thing that everybody's talking about, and a lot of times so that's where these things come from.
I think it's
And
awesome.
the reason I want to do it this week is because I thought it would be interesting. The thing everybody's talking about is eating their pets.
I know.
But
And
then
everybody, I guess
But
we'll talk.
then, so then I called you up. I was like, we should do it this week. And then it's like, well, they had the debate last night. So maybe, so then it's like, well, we can't not talk about that. So I guess to start with the debate, I usually don't watch them because I really don't care. Like, I feel like I've had, I know who I'm voting for. I don't need to see this stuff, because I vote on issues and not personality or how somebody talks. But I tried to watch it last night and it's like, because we were gonna do this deal, I tried to watch it and
Me too.
I just started spacing off. I'm like, I don't I just don't, it's awkward to me. It's just stupid. I'm embarrassed for, I don't know. I feel like the one thing Kamala she didn't completely embarrass herself. And so then I think like they're saying, oh, she did a good job. But also it just seemed, from people I follow, the consensus is it was kind of a 3-on-1 deal, and one person was being fact checked while what's crazy to me is she brings up those things that everybody knows, like the very fine people thing. And she knows that they're not even going to question it. Like everyone knows that is just that's a hoax. Like they took one sentence out of what he was saying and they've turned it into he's a white supremacist, and it's been
Hmm.
debunked by even these liberal sources. And she can
Yep.
stand on a debate stage and say it and they don't question it at all. And then he brings up different things and they question him all over the place. So
Are
that's
we
really pretty much all I
are
got
we
out.
in the conversation now? Are you recording this?
Yeah, we're
Oh,
in
we're
it.
talking.
That
We're in
is,
it.
yeah,
You're not gonna have a beginning.
that's the beginning.
Okay. I think it's the very first debate I've ever watched all the way through last night because I wanted to talk about it today prudently, and I thought I thought Trump came in very relaxed, and it's very funny that I have this friend, I think I told you this, and he used to own several pharmaceutical companies or one, and he sold it over the years. Is it Animal Health Pharmaceutical Company? And he sends me this message yesterday, and he's like, "You need to tell your people to tell Trump to debate on the issues and don't go on the attack." And I'm like, "Well, I have no access to Trump."
Your people. It's
Yeah,
your
my
people.
people, you're my people, Jim. And so
But also, you told me about this guy. You might mention how old he is.
yeah, he's 85 years old.
Okay, there you go.
And he
That has a
wanted
little
to,
something to do with it.
he's like, but he's sharp. I mean, I can
Yeah.
talk markets, I can do anything with the guy. And in fact, he's reached out to me today and told me what he thought. And so he tells me all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, he needs to get there. So then when the actual debate started, and Trump was, to me, Trump was very relaxed. In fact, I said to my wife, I'm like, do they have him on some relaxing pills or something? Because he was like not taking any of these hooks that she was pushing in. And you could tell, I mean, here's what it boils down to. She's a lawyer. And if she can't debate, then she's not a good lawyer. She spoke well. She hit the heart of the people. She's like, we need to get past all this stuff, and she made it sound so good. And she looked good. I thought she never stuttered. She was very consistent, but she was on the attack, right? Immediately. And I thought Trump did a great job of just letting it go in one ear and out the other. Letting it go in.
There's some of the things I saw people say, and this is one thing that when she said his rally numbers or people were leaving his rallies, he didn't let that go in one ear and out the other.
No, but at
And
the
that bothered
beginning,
him, and that's what is frustrating to a lot of people. Because that's about, I don't know, just those kind of things. He doesn't like letting that kind of stuff go. But
well,
I
and
thought for
that's,
her, every once in a while, like she has these pauses when she talks.
yeah,
And you've seen those clips of her speeches where they put one over the top of the other and they're all the same.
yeah, they're all
And
the
so
same.
it was almost like she's thinking of like, what's my next line? That's how I felt. Like it was like kind of like she's really rehearsed. To where Trump is the opposite. He's just
Yeah, well, they
flying.
say Trump is famous for not rehearsing anything
Right.
or not being prepared in these debates. But I mean, I told a guy this morning, I'm like, you guys can't have it both ways. I mean, she's a lawyer, she should present well. That's her job, right? If you want her to defend you in court, she damn well better present well. And she did. But Trump, he is an aggressive man. He is a pit bulldog. If you want him to, we know that he follows through on his word. We know he's good for his word. We know he's aggressive. And I love that about him. So we have to either choose, do we want him to be the pit bulldog that he is? We're not going to change him. He's 70 some years old. Or do we want him to sit on the porch and bark like she did and know every single bark is just that? It's just a bark. They're all lies. I know that for a fact. I mean, they never fact checked her last night, but they did fact check him.
Yeah.
So
And the
there was
thing of
a
mine is it don't matter if you want to be, it don't matter what you want him to be. Because you're down to two choices. And I've said this before, like
true.
the people who should be most mad about Kamala Harris being the nominee are people, loyal Democrats,
Yep,
because you got
Democrats.
no voice in it at all.
Yep.
And I was talking to somebody yesterday about they're from Northern California and they're talking about all the issues and how Gavin Newsom, all the issues kind of around ranching and agriculture in California, and how Gavin Newsom just ignores agriculture in his state, which is one of the biggest ag states in the country.
Yeah.
And you think about who the candidates were for, when it was obvious that Joe Biden couldn't be president anymore. To even the people, even his loyalists at the media, when that became obvious, the two people they talked about were Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris. They're both from the worst run state in the country.
Worst.
Yeah, and it for people who could care less about the people who live in their state. I mean, just tax them to death. Have these, you've seen those third world country videos where everybody's
Yeah.
bent over and drugged out in San
Yep.
Francisco, and I think that's where she was DA, right? And so you people who have horrible track records of governing, and then you bring in this Tim Walz, who is so excited about his city burning up a few, and almost encouraged it, the riots and all that stuff from Minnesota and all the nutty things he's doing there. And so these people are all from horribly governed places that have horrible records, and and that's who you want to lead the country, or you have two options now. And so, and that's it. So like like I said, I vote on issues. I don't, do you think anybody's watching that and are like undecided? So I feel like if you're undecided, you're not paying attention to debates
Well,
or the
I think
news or anything else.
I agree. And I think there are people out there that are loyal to the left, but their living circumstances are so much worse than they were 4 years ago. And they're like, they're caught in this middle where what do we do? Because they have the never Trump syndrome or I hate Trump, syndrome.
Yeah.
And but they know their lifestyle is way worse than it was. I mean, everything that Trump said last night was true. Look at their groceries, look at our taxes. I mean, our asset taxes, our home and ranch taxes, they've gone, they've all gone up, right?
Yeah, I
One way
sat
or
down with my
another. They
accountant the
they
first year Biden was in there, and he was like, "It's going to be more," and it's because I mean he's not
yeah.
a real
Well,
political guy, but he's like they got rid of the tax cuts that you had
well, we
before.
we know that we can't spend money, just write these checks and it's not going to affect somebody. So those people, I think, Jim, are I think they're the ones caught in the middle, and I think they will lean to the right because they're tired of their living standard. Now, these are the working people. These are not the people that are burning down the cities. They're not the people with blue hair and earrings in their noses and piercings all over and all tatted up, waving the Palestinian flag down downtown and down all these towns. Those are not the people that are have the problem of deciding. I mean, these are working people who lean to the left that need to find some ground with Trump. I think there is a sector of those.
Well,
You're
there's a
always
big, I mean, there's a rally going on that's coming up. I heard this Brett Weinstein. He's a lifelong Democrat. Matt Taibbi wrote a book. He's going to be at the rally. They're calling it Rally for Unity, and it's a bunch of Democrats who are RFK Jr. is going to be there. Tulsi Gabbard. It's on the Hill in D.C. in a couple
isn't it
weeks.
September 29th?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Matt Taibbi wrote a book about how Trump's a clown and kind of all of his. I don't know. I never read it, but he's like he was a journalist for Rolling Stone, one of the most liberal magazines out there, and he got kicked out of there real quick because he didn't believe in the Russia deal, and so that's why he got booted. But because he looks at things like, he just reports on the facts. If he was one of the guys that reported on the Twitter files, but he wrote a book about, kind of criticizing Trump, and now he's like, we can't have this censorship. But the media people that have gotten behind Trump are really worried about the First Amendment and freedom of speech and everything being
Man,
censored.
that's awesome.
And then you
That's
get
awesome.
RFK Jr., who's all about health, and he says he's been told that if he gets in there, he's going to be able to change some things. So, and
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I don't I'm still unsure about RFK Jr. I like what he has to say, but then I'm like, who
yeah, some
our
of the things.
history our
Did you
our
see he had a deal where he's warning about cell phones. Like, don't put them up to your ear.
yeah,
If you're a girl, don't put them by your ovaries and stuff.
yeah.
And I'm like, well, that sounds nuts. But you know what also sounds nuts? Everything else 4 years ago. And then
Well, I
it's
was
like,
gonna say, what doesn't sound nuts? I mean, like you said, some of these things that we're talking about. Well, let's take for instance what you brought up when Trump said they're eating dogs and cats, and man, that there has been so many people attack him for that, and I'm like, it's true. That is happening. I mean, they have arrested these people. They arrested two Venezuelans for shooting um, a bald eagle in
yeah, in
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Yeah, in Nebraska. So these things are really happening.
And they're
And
getting ready to eat him. Like, they
yeah,
weren't just out
yeah,
shooting the bald eagle.
they were going to eat. They told them they were going to eat them. And
They're
these are
like, yeah,
the
we're gonna eat this
things
bird.
that this is a symptom or a fruit of a third world country. This is a
Yeah.
decline in our nation. And so as radical, she says that is, I've never heard anything so radical. As radical as that sounds, and it does sound radical, Jim, if the truth is there and it is proven, and so far we can prove it, then that needs to be talked about because that is the quality of life we're headed to by inviting all of these open borders,
Well,
right?
it goes back to what blows my mind. And we talk about how this is about kind of the middle of America. Can you imagine? The town had 60,000 people, I think 50 or 60,000 people, and they put 20,000
20 more.
from a third world country. I mean, and just thought that that was going to work. I mean, it's mind blowing, and feel bad for both sides. Like if you're, I mean, you're getting, I don't know, it's insane to think that they're doing this stuff, and why are you doing it, and why is it Ohio? You know, it's always a swing state or something
Well,
where they're jamming as many as they can
yeah,
into.
and you know those immigrants, they don't give a crap about this election. I mean,
No, but
I
they're
know
all
they're doing.
registered to vote.
I know that's the problem. Mindy Patterson was telling me about her. She went and spoke somewhere up in that area. They were coming back through Ohio, I think, and they stopped to get gas in this little town, like 2,000 people, and they looked around, and she's looking around, and she's like, "What is this?" There was a hog plant there, and she's like, "This place looks terrible. There's trash everywhere. There's people defecating in the streets." I mean, and so they went in, and she asked this guy that owned this little gas station, she's like, "What is going on in your town?" And he says, "We have been invaded. They dropped these immigrants off in our little town and just left them." And
Where were they from?
it's a total Nigeria.
Yeah, see, there are a lot of them aren't from Mexico. There's a bunch of, I
No,
think, from
yeah,
Afghanistan that were put in a town up uh in northeast Nebraska. Somebody was telling me about how they're bringing a bunch of them, and
yeah,
they're refugees. So they,
yeah.
but I mean, I
I
don't.
mean, you cannot mix this developed nation with an undeveloped population, because we are a nation of laws, right? And they
Well,
are
and we're
not.
also sending all kinds of money to every country out there,
Yeah.
and now we're
Oh
going to
yeah.
take anybody they want to send us. It's just insanity. And so to me, you go back to the politics. It's like, well, what are you really going to vote for? The border czar who has just allowed this to happen, or
Yeah.
someone who believes in a closed border? Because I think that's number one issue on that should be,
You
as
think
far
the
as
border is the
country
number one
wise.
issue?
I don't know. I mean, it's different for everybody. And so you think that I haven't seen. I saw the guy carrying the goose. Did you see? And I heard there's a video of a guy eating a cat. Well, the Ava, your friend Ava Vanderbrook.
Eva Van Lardingbroek.
Yeah, is that it? Did you hit
Yeah.
it? You
Yeah.
nailed it. She put a video of a guy in Italy, and he was cooking a cat up right there on the sidewalk, and a lady was yelling at him about it. It was like he had some, like a busted up pallet, and he started a fire on it, and there was a cat
Well,
charred to
somebody
a crisp.
posted a picture or a video yesterday in San Diego, and they had, how people, the homeless, steal all those carts,
Yeah,
grocery shopping
shopping cart.
carts, and they had put grills on top of them and built fires in them, and they were cooking their food on shopping carts. But
While they're
there
pushing
was
them down the road.
no, they had
Oh,
them just set up on the street where all the homeless people were, and but one lady, or I guess I did see that video last night where the two cops in Ohio grabbed that lady and said, "Did you eat that cat?" She kind of shut her mouth.
oh yeah. He said, "Let me see your teeth." I saw that.
Let
Let
me
me
see
see your
your teeth.
teeth.
And she goes,
I was like, "What are they looking for? Hair in there?"
I was
I
gonna
hope they're
say,
skinning them
did
first.
she not cook it? I mean, they said she was laying down. The comments were she was laying down eating beside the body of the cat, eating the cat. And I'm like, well, did she not cook it? What in the hell?
But it goes back. Like I think we're getting focused on the critters, but there's 20,000 people that got dumped into a town of 60,000 people. Like
Yep.
that's the main issue. Like we cannot live like that and have that
I mean,
happen to our community.
just at the very
It don't
bare
matter
minimum.
where they're from.
Yeah, at the very minimum, it affects housing, right? And they're
Oh,
not going to pay. They're
jobs.
not going to pay for their housing. We have to pay for all
Yeah,
that.
that's the other thing. Tulsi
Yeah.
Gabbard said down at I saw a video down at the southern border in California. She was there and she said when they come across, they get handed a plane ticket and 3 grand, like a card with 3 grand on it or something. It's crazy. But I do have a couple ducks here that I would love to send to Springfield, Ohio. just
I
to
don't
help
know.
out with things. My daughter
Um,
talked me into buying a couple ducks, and
well, I doubt that if you send them up there, it's gonna make her very happy.
well, she don't pay any attention to them. They're red ribbon ducks. She was going to show them got a red ribbon, then that was the end of the showing.
It was
They aren't
normal.
show ducks, I guess. I don't know. She picked them out of a catalog. They came in the mail.
I'm surprised the coyotes haven't got them yet.
Yeah, I do put them in a pen at night,
You're a
which,
good man.
yeah, I know it because they're such a pain. And one of them chases my dog around, rides on top of my dog.
Really?
Yeah,
These are ducks, so they're not just white ducks,
they're called buff ducks. They're yellow.
buff ducks.
I don't know. She had them all picked out, and those were the ones she wanted. And she
Well,
took them to the fair one year. Thank goodness we don't. That's one extra show we don't have to go to is a
here,
duck show.
here, I agree. I agree. I'm not a poultry show guy.
So did you so the other thing you get on Twitter and every post it seemed like was about um the NFL player getting pulled over. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That's one of those things where you look at it and it's like we're living in I just don't understand because then I saw there's these sports guys and one of them was like he could not believe that the police would act like that. It was such a And I was like, are we watching the same video? Like the guy had a tinted window that was pretty much black. You couldn't see through it at all. And he would not roll it down. He roll it down, he roll it back up. And it's like he's hiding in there. Cops cannot, if you're hiding from a policeman,
No,
they're
yeah,
assuming you're going to shoot them.
exactly. Exactly.
And
You,
so
you
I
can't
just
do
don't
that.
and they're saying that well the police should have de-escalated that situation. A guy rolls up his window and won't open his door. How do you de-escalate that without getting shot? I mean,
Well, it feels like escalation to me, and it's not on the cop side. But I have a there. I think that we, I think that some of these people, like this gentleman that got stopped, I think he's probably entitled, right? He's young, he's cocky, he's got that victim mentality that we've taught everybody, and he's probably entitled, and he's like, I don't have to listen to you. And so that's what creates the problem. Even if those cops are overbearing and wielding their sword heavily, because there are cops like that out there. I'm very pro cop, but I mean, like the guys I went to school
oh
with,
yeah.
they
Which the thing
love
about
that
this is that
power.
anytime that happens and you see,
Oh, the
this
cops
is, and you
lose.
say this is outrageous. Well, you don't even have to look at it because it takes away from, you know what I mean? Like
No, I
when
do.
a cop does act like a jerk and you've said that cops are jerks, even though like this one, I mean, yeah, they were being aggressive, but I've seen the videos of the guys, they walk up on a traffic stop and guy pulls out guns and shoots them.
Pulls out a gun. That's why
There
you have
was
to
one with a
listen.
lady that they were kept telling her, get out of your car, get your hand out of your purse, get your hand out of your purse for a long time. She wouldn't do it. And then she finally pulled her gun out of her purse and shot the cops and they
That's
shot
why
her
you
and she
can't roll
drove
your
off in a
window
car.
up. That's
Yeah,
why
I
they have to
know.
listen. They're so entitled. See this wealth. They have wealth, unimagined wealth that we don't have. And it makes you entitled. Where there is that money changes people, right? It changes everybody. And so they become entitled and they don't have to listen. And that's so then we have these situations where uh the cops are in the authority. They're the authority figure. You have to listen to them to de-escalate. I mean, just just
Yeah. Roll your window down.
roll your damn
It's
way. It's
not like
not that
he's
hard.
telling you
It's not that
to
hard.
let us search your car or anything else. It's roll your window down.
Just sit there.
Yeah. So to go on, Jason Whitlock, he's a sports guy, I guess, but he wrote Society is backwards. The guy worth 200 million with 10 kids has far lower expectations for his behavior than the guy making 90,000 for doing one of the most dangerous jobs. Just admit you're a bigot and have no expectations for Tyreek Hill because he's black. And so Jason Whitlock's a black guy. But that's kind of how it feels like. It's like you you just don't expect him to be able to do that. Like why can't I don't know. It's just nuts. And I don't want to get into the race thing, but
Well, I don't think it is a race thing. I mean, everything goes to
Well, and
race.
all the cops were Mexican guys. So if
Well,
we're
I thought there was
criticizing the
one black,
cops, are we
one of those
anti-Mexican?
cops I thought was black, but I mean, it's absolutely not about race. It's about entitlement and not listening. I mean, there's a reason you were pulled over. If you want to get out of it without escalating it, just do as they say, and in 5 minutes you're done and you're done and gone. Now, if they break your door down for no reason into your house, it's a different story.
Yeah,
Uh,
there is a
but
video out of that. There was a guy, I think it was in Colorado. Cop stepped into some lady's house and wouldn't get out.
yeah,
And so it's like,
I saw
yeah,
that.
that's, I mean, that's a definitely a different
That's
situation.
overreaching.
Yeah. But the sides get mixed up, and so anytime somebody does overreach after you make, you know what I'm saying?
I totally know what you're saying.
For
So,
ever.
Ranchers for Trump, September 28th in Fallon,
Fallon,
Nevada,
Nevada.
Fallon Livestock Auction.
Yes.
Sounds fun, actually. I mean, the way I understand it, Jack told me they're going to have big O open. They got people coming in from all different states. They're going to try to give a truck away. I think he started too late on it, but because he's trying to secure some big names, to speak. And I think if they get big enough, they'll get those. I think they'll
Well,
Trump.
get your people.
I've been working on him, man. He wanted me to get Del Brisby. I've reached out to Del Brisby. I reached out to Hageman. I reached out to
Well,
who else?
he's working hard on Hageman. Is she not?
Well, they're going to be in session, so she's like, I can't commit, but if I think it's an overflow session or something like that.
Oh, if it goes long, she
Yeah,
can't
if it goes
make it.
long, she can't commit, and I totally understand that. And then who else did I reached out to somebody else that said, hey, can you go to this? Oh, Ronnie Jackson. And I have not heard back from Ronnie Jackson.
What
But if
about
they,
Sid Miller?
yeah, and I texted Sid Miller on it. If they could raise $1 million, they'll get Trump there anyway. I mean, he'll come. That's a substantial
Well,
amount of
they
money.
never knew that Donnie Jr. was showing up last time, and he came. So
Yeah,
maybe
that's what I'm saying. That's
somebody will
cool.
shoot in there.
Yeah, maybe they will.
But the goal is to make it as big as we can.
Yeah.
And I wish I could say I'm going, but can't.
But it's like I told Brett, we still have to ranch. We have to make money.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah, and
is
that's
the most
how.
important. That's how we do it. We all do it. And I think it's awesome that we're all in the fight, and we need to stay in the fight. We need to do what we can, but we do have to balance it with our income.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish Jack a lot of luck. I'm not going to be able to go out there. I think Eric Roper might be going.
Yeah, I was telling him to get. He should get him to do one thing one time.
No joke. God, get out there.
uh,
What
I
else are
think
we going to talk about?
I think that was about it.
What I've learned in the last 6 years, actually 8 years, is actually a lot longer than that. I started doing funerals. Shit, I've done 30 or 40 funerals over the last 20 years.
Preaching?
Huh?
What do you mean you do funerals?
Well, people want me to do
Talk?
their, yeah, do their eulogy, tell their story. I never preach. I don't preach. I don't preach the gospel. I preach the gospel, but I'm not a preacher. But
Do you know these people well?
oh yeah, I've done
Oh,
funerals in Colorado, Texas, Kansas.
you just know a lot of people.
I know a lot of people, and the
And they
reason
come
I
to
do
you and
their
they say, Shad, we want you to
yep,
talk.
yep.
That's got to be the hardest place to talk.
That old man that I had that short clip of video of Kit Patton the other day, he asked me 25 years ago, he says, I want you to do my funeral for me.
Because he heard you
You know
talk at
why?
someone else's funeral?
Well, yeah, he heard me talk to somebody else, but the reason they do is because every person says, Shad, you are relatable. You are relatable to real people. And you don't put no political bullshit. You're not mechanic. I call it like a reining horse. It's totally mechanical, all mechanical. I'm not a mechanical speaker. I'm just who I am. It is what it is. I want to do my best and I want to sound good, but I want to be relatable to the people. And I think Jim, that is very important. We have to be relatable. I did my dad's own funeral. I did the whole thing. I dug his grave. I put him in it. I covered him up. And the next day I went to town and I did his whole damn funeral. It sucked.
God dang.